There are many cities in Japan, but there's one that starts with the letter H, and that city is called Hiroshima. Hiroshima in kanji is spelled, well, that. And it means white island, which is weird if you ask me, because Hiroshima is not even an island. Nevertheless, Hiroshima's coordinates are 34 degrees by 23.7 degrees north, and 123 degrees by 27.19 degrees east. Has a total area of 905.01 kilometers squared, and has a population as of 2010 of 1,173,980. I can already tell this place is pretty cool because look, it even has a phone number, being 082-245-2111, an address being 1634, so on and so forth, and even a website, hiroshimacity.com. And an entire city that has its own phone number and address is pretty cool in my books. But this is Hiroshima now. What was Hiroshima in the beginning? Well, Hiroshima was created in 1589 on the river delta coastline of the Seto Island Sea by powerful warlord Mori Tirumumoto. Sure, I think that's about it. At this time, things were done the ancient feudal system's samurai stabby way, and that was about it. This point in time was known as the Sengoku period. It lasted till 1871, when the Han system was abolished. Afterwards, Hiroshima began to modernize and became a major urban center of Japan. In 1894, Hiroshima had a rail line, and industrial plants like cotton mills and so on and so forth were being introduced. By the First World War, Hiroshima became the focal point of Japan's military activity on the Allies' side, keeping over 500 German POWs, prisoners of war, on Ninoshima Island in Hiroshima Bay. After the war, Hiroshima was becoming something of a superpower, still in the shadow of Tokyo, but not that far from. This point in time in Hiroshima was known as the Imperial period, lasting from 1871 to 1939. So, as you've seen, everything's been going perfectly fine and nothing bad has happened. Yet. It's at this point in time that you expect something bad's gonna happen. Something bad's gonna go down and the stuff's gonna hit the fan. So indeed, that's just what's gonna happen. So expect the following little bit to be not so nice. It all started in 1939, when Hitler invaded Poland and started World War II. Soon after, the Japanese joined forces with the Nazis, and in 1941, the Japanese attacked America's Pearl Harbor. The US of A took revenge, and by 1945, near the end of the war, the Americans were bombing and doing raids in Tokyo. Japan would not surrender though, so America had to pick a stronger poison. So they built 2 nuclear bombs by the names of Little Boy and Fat Man, in hopes of dropping this new unknown technology on 2 cities of Japan, and this, therefore, would help them win the war. But it did a lot more than just that. The first city they chose to destroy was Hiroshima, using an American B-29 bomber by the name of Enola Gay. So on Monday, August 6, 1945, at 9:15 a.m., Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima. This is the actual footage, and the only footage, of the bomb going off. Within seconds of the blast, 80,000 people were vaporized instantly, with 166,000 people dying later from their injuries. 70% of the city's buildings were destroyed, and this is quite frankly one of the worst things we've ever done to ourselves. However, Japan did not surrender still, and Fat Man was dropped in Nagasaki. 2 weeks later, Japan surrendered and the war was over. Japan would never be the same. The world would never be the same. But then, as the years went on, Japan was left alone and in turn was capable of rebuilding its empire. Today, Japan is a friendly superpower and Hiroshima has been completely restored, now in a better state than ever before, and is almost unrecognizable to the devastation it was 70 years ago. But with all this change, the people of Hiroshima have not forgotten, and have left the building that survived the bomb still standing to this day, to remind themselves of the past they must not return back to. What makes this building special is that it is located at Ground Zero, the exact location the bomb was detonated. Actually, it wasn't exact, it was just slightly close. Now the reason why I chose Hiroshima rather than any other city in Japan is because Hiroshima is the first out of 2 cities in the history of the world to have been targeted and destroyed by a nuclear bomb, marking the end of one of the most bloodiest wars in history, but also marking the beginning of one of the most tense and scariest wars of all time that in my opinion is still going on to this day, the Cold War. So we all like to forget about this kind of stuff and pretend it never happened. Of course, this makes sense and is healthy, but it is wrong. For if we forget what we've done, we might do it again. The only way to learn from our mistakes is to remember our mistakes. And if we don't remember, we will not learn.